record. Okay, here we go. As I was saying, I always go to this little friend I have that I really have grown to love and respect and admire. I call him my advisor when it comes to topics. And he handed me this topic yesterday or the day before, and he said, okay, I've got one for you. It's just kind of what has resonated in my heart. And it's, that's where the title came from. This too shall pass. And he had me go look up where it came from in King Solomon's time. There are three places that is giving some credence to where this passage may have come from. But as I was researching it and I, got to thinking about it, and I found myself this morning waking up, and it's cold, damp, rainy here. It doesn't have the ice, so that's the silver lining of today. And then I found myself as I was getting dressed, remembering back to this weekend when I had the pleasure of being in St. Louis, and the weather was gorgeous here. I wasn't here, but in St. Louis, oh my God, Sunday morning, it was no wind, high 40s, low 50s, just a gorgeous day. And I got to thinking about my attitude. This morning, kind of cold. It started raining about 4 a.m. And, I knew the temperature was dropping, and I found myself just wanting to pull the covers over my head versus last Sunday when the weather was beautiful and you found yourself bebopping out of bed, ready to get on the day. When I was growing up, one of the favorite things around my house was get your what up and go seize the day. I mean, that's what my mother woke us up with. So I was thinking about today's thing about this too shall pass. There are many times that we use that saying when we're in the midst of a conflict, when we're in the midst of a challenge. But it's really in every day that we go through. Part of this poem that my friend shared with me, there's a part that he highlighted, and I really hadn't thought about it in these terms, but it's, if you can meet with triumph, and we all know, triumph defined as something great and grand, victory, achievement, and disaster. Disaster, we can always say, well, yeah, I planned that party and it turned out to be a phenomenal disaster, or I planned this event and it turned out to be a phenomenal disaster, or I'm just in the most disastrous time of my life. Think about your mindset. And in each one of those, the truth is, this too shall pass. So what it says to me, and y'all kind of know me and you've heard me talk enough, I try to find optimism in just about everything that I do. It is something I was brought up in. My mother was a very optimistic woman, and I think that's where I learned it from, and it is a learned skill to try to find the best in every situation. And there are times, I don't care what the situation is, at the time you might not see it. But if you can remember, this too shall pass. Many of you have been at that bottom of despair in your addiction, in your loved one's addiction, and you just keep fighting in that paper bag, trying to get out. And it seems like the harder you fight, the worse the struggle. Would anybody agree with that? I have found, and I never really put it to this phrase, if I can quit fighting and just take a deep breath and be at peace for a minute, or be still for a minute, it will pass and the answer will come. Or if not the answer in totality, what I need to do next. And sometimes the thing to do next is just to rest. There are also those times in our greatest triumph. How many of you can stop and remember a time maybe when you first fell in love, or you planned an event, or your business just boomed, or you had the birth of a first grandchild or something, but it was a tremendous moment, and you felt nothing could bring you down from that moment. Have any of you ever experienced that? I know I have. But even in those moments, this saying of "this too shall pass" needs to make us recognize in this moment, we need to be very appreciative. Y'all know my story and my journey with our son, Spencer. I had the pleasure of spending the weekend with him. And I have learned in this context, I am a guest in his life now. You know my philosophy on that. But when we were able to spend Saturday with him, I have found myself knowing this day shall pass. I get to go back to Buffalo Gap. He's going to continue to live his life in St. Louis. This day shall pass. And I need to be ever mindful and present to enjoy it. I don't know about you, but many times, even in those times of triumph, in those times of ecstasy, in those times of excitement, I find myself futurizing. What do I need tomorrow? What time do we need to be at the airport tomorrow? And you miss the blessing of the moment. And
Pam, I'm so sorry. I think we've been hacked again. Look at the chat. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
well. So Jeff, how do I delete them out?
You put your cursor on the box you want to get rid of. Oh, it looks like that person just disappeared.
but they're still typing, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Put your cursor on the blue box on their screen, and it
I'm
should
looking
say
for 'em.
something about mute or remove or block. It's right on their little square.
Little heifers.
It looks like Beth.
Yeah, see, they're switching.
Okay.
Yeah, they are.
You need to change your passcode.
Yeah, we're going to have to after this.
Cam, you can disable chat for everyone.
Yeah.
How do I
Good
do that?
That might be the best thing to do.
See, in the
Disable
moments of
chat
triumph,
and
this
mute
too shall
everyone.
pass. So
I remember last time we logged off and we had to come back in a few seconds when that happened.
we
Yeah,
did
and
that.
they
We've already
came
done
back
that
with
once
us.
today. So why don't we all just disable our chats and we go on with our lives, and maybe that individual might hear something today that they need to hear. That's how I kind of look at things, you know me. But
How do we disable our chats? Chris, can you tell it me? I'll do it if I know. I don't know how to do it.
No, the meeting host has to do it,
Oh,
so how do
okay.
I do it? Tell me.
and I'm not certain where the menu's at.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, wait. Here.
You
under
did it.
Security. There, I think it's gone. I think chat is now gone.
Good.
Okay. So in the moment, even in our recovery, you know how you're sitting in a meeting sometimes and you hear something or it's past because you're thinking about, oh, what time's this meeting going to be over? Or where am I going to for dinner tonight? Or, my loved one's going to be mad at me because I'm at a meeting, and we kind of miss it. And then everybody's going, oh, wow, how cool was that statement? And we're like, what did we miss? That too shall pass. You've got to be ever present in whatever it is you're doing at the time. Tennie last week talked about communication. And one of the big ones, and today is, picking up our phones. And it made me very much aware when I'm even at home or I'm over at, staffing, or I was at a Chamber of Commerce meeting this morning. where I sat and I watched people picking up their phones during the meeting, and it is very distracting. And it happened today. A lady was on her phone. The chair was talking about something, and all of us were like, well, that's really cool. And she was like, wait, what did I miss? You've got to be mindful. In our moments of disaster, that beam of hope is this too shall pass. Now, we may have to deal with some fallout from whatever that situation is, but you've got to hang on to that this too shall pass. Now, where I had like a conversation with a woman the other day, her 19-year-old daughter is running off the rails, just off the rails, won't listen to her. What do I do? And all I could tell her, in fact, it was yesterday after this had been given to me, and said, all you can do is remember this too shall pass. Now, the moment will pass. Now, she may continue to run off the rails, but what you've got to do is center yourself and find that peace, take that breath, knowing it's going to pass. Now, we don't know what path it's going to take, but you've got to find a space within your being of slowing down, taking a breath, knowing it's going to pass one way or the other. But what's the next thing you need to do? That's the reason I always go to my friend. And I hope I can call him my friend now, not my, person that gives me things to talk about. But the thing I have come to really respect about him, one of them, is no, Cam, I can't give you an answer right now. I've got to sit and think about it. And then when he comes back with something like this, it's that inner voice. It's that inner voice. And also in our chaos, even though we're in recovery and we're doing what we think is the next right best thing, we can't control the outside world. All we can control is how we react to it. And if we can stop, take that breath, and in our hearts know this too shall pass, it can give us a peace in the storm. Because it will pass. What we've got to control is how we react to the situation.
Can you use calculator
Oh.
and tell me what is 2.5 times?
We're having fun
2.5?
today, aren't we? I'm going to mute
What
everybody.
is 2.5 times 2.5? Okay.
I don't know who I have in the background.
Well, they stole Kathy's picture.
Number
That's
81
pretty
and
cheap.
6.25?
We're just having too much fun.
Can you take a square root to 0.3?
I've
Hey,
got
you go back
everybody
to
muted.
Russia?
Okay, now I will. Yeah, you can finish this.
There, how's that? Are we all good? Give me a thumbs up.
Use online calculator.
Kathy's not muting. So something's
Well,
up.
I'm muting her and then she comes back on.
Well, and it's not Kathy.
It's not
Kathy's.
Kathy.
Wave at us, Kathy.
See, I think they've
No.
stolen her picture.
Yeah, they stole her picture.
Divide 9.3.
This
by 4,
too
what is
shall
your-
pass.
What is 9.3 divided by 4?
I think with everybody, if you're in agreement with me, I think this is what we need to do. I think we need to close down the chat. I am going to
Okay,
ask,
now compare this number.
I'm gonna have
and
to
this
get a
number.
new passcode.
Okay, did Bruce set up ladder correct?
I'm gonna have to get a new passcode, obviously, for future Tennie talk.
Cam, do you want to move this over to my Zoom?
I don't
And
know
you
how to
can
do
get,
that. I don't know how to do
oh,
that.
everybody shut down and I'll send you the code and you disperse it however you want.
Or we can shut it down today. Be looking on the Shay's website. Well, I don't want to do that. If you want the passcode for future
Email
meetings,
you.
Yeah,
If you want
Good
the
idea, Cora.
passcode, text me.
Yes,
Yeah.
text or email you.
Everybody has, or call Shades of Hope.
Yeah,
Give me today to get a new passcode because we'll need it. We don't want this happening when Tennie's on the cruise.
it's terrible.
And we'll just close it down today.
Hey, Cora, there's still sick people out there.
I know, I know, yes, I know. Terrible.
my
Your
admin-
message is so beautiful today, Cam. It's terrible.
Yeah,
Thank you, Cam.
that's
Thank
all I know to do. But this
Well,
too
Do a
shall pass.
repeat, Cam. Do a repeat next week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this too shall pass.
It will.
Yeah, we'll come back, but I love y'all.
Love
Love you
you.
too.
Bye.
Thanks, Pam.
Thank you.